Ladies and gentlemen, all you fucking AEW sickos, welcome to the channel. It's your boy, World of Wrestling, here today to discuss about AEW Dynamite, April 2nd, 2025 review. My attitude about the show was alright. It was an okay show. Fair. Swerved Strickland's winning that world championship, folks. They changed my attitude. They swerved my viewpoint on the match between Swerve Strickland and Jon Moxley for that world title. And here's how. Swerve Strickland was walking backstage just before the show was coming to a close with the last segment, and him and Hangman just started arguing backstage. And Hangman was pissed. He said, I made a promise you're never going to win that world title, and you don't deserve to be the world champion. You went ahead and you broke into my house, and you stood over my daughter, or my child, whatever. I think he has a baby girl, I don't know. And he said, and then I burned down your house. And Swerve looked at him and says, yeah, I know, I deserved it. And Hangman was like, what? Hangman was astonished by the response and by Hangman taking responsibility for what he did and felt that he deserved what Hangman did to him after all this time. And now I think Hangman's attitude is he's got respect for Swerve and he's going to stay away from this match and let Swerve have a shot at trying to win the World Heavyweight Championship. I think Tony Khan has heard the rumblings, the fans being fed up of this storyline with Jon Moxley, and I don't think we're going to see Jon Moxley hold the World Championship all the way up till All in Texas. I believe that Swerve Strickland is going to win this match. Hangman Page is going to win the Owen Hart Cup tournament. And he will be facing Swerve Strickland at All In to become the next AEW World Champion. And that is what I think is going to happen at All In. They really changed my mind on the whole situation. This next encounter between these two and their chaptered rivalry is going to be strictly competition, all respect, and that is it. They could go with Will Ospreay, but that's just a rinse and repeat. That does not imply to a major story that's taking place that we haven't touched on since a few weeks ago with MJF and Hangman Page. Hangman Page was told by MJF that people will be waiting forever for him to get a second run with the World Heavyweight Championship, and MJF will get it long before he ever does. That storyline will come into play. Hangman will win the world title before MJF. This will infuriate MJF heavily. He will extract revenge and get what he wants and become the next world champion after Hangman Page. That is where this is all leading to. The major program is building up towards Hangman Page and MJF. And then MJF's going to have a long reign as champion again. I'd say for another year he will do that, like he did the last time. And he will be the most hated man in AEW. While also possibly, the same way as before, gaining all the fans' love and respect back, and he may turn to a babyface. Or he may just stay the same prick. I don't know. Or he might be a babyface, but be the same prick that he always has been. Speaking of MJF, he was trying to sway Bobby Lashley's opinion and viewpoint of him joining the Hurt Syndicate. This was a very good storyline as well. The idea of MJF wanting to be part of the Hurt Syndicate is a little head-scratching, I'd say. But at the same time, not so much, because he could really use all the reinforcement he could possibly ask for to make it easier for him to become the world champion down the line. All he needs is a little help from MVP and the Hurt Syndicate, and he'd be made gold. And he even expressed that in this promo. He felt that you guys can help me win the world title, and I can help you guys stay the most dominant tag team champions in the business. And we can rule this promotion like nobody has. And that's pretty much what I got from the promo. Bobby Lashley's response to that is, I don't care. I don't trust you. I don't like you. I don't give a shit who you are or how long you've been here. I do not trust you, and until you can prove something to me to make me feel otherwise, I don't give a shit. You're not part of Hurt Syndicate. And MVP respects Bobby Lashley's decision. Shelton Benjamin backs Bobby Lashley. He wasn't there tonight because of some sort of traveling issues with weather. But he did not... MVP does not have an issue with Bobby Lashley not wanting MJF part of the group at this point. And otherwise, until Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin say different about MJF, MVP will respect their wishes. Which is very interesting. I kind of like it. MVP said, alright, I'll prove that I deserve to be part of the Hurt Syndicate. And then he walks off, and he still has the microphone in his hand. I thought he'd say something just before he was up the ramp, but unfortunately he just walked into the tunnel, and that was the end of the segment. We led to Big Bill and his partner as well. Bryce Mitchell, I believe is his name. I don't fucking know. Who cares? I'd have to pull it up. But there were some good spots on this show. Toni Storm had a match. She won her match. We had a tag team matchup, a mixed gender match that took place to kickstart the show with Jon Moxley and Marina Shafir against Willow Nightingale and fucking Swerve Strickland. I'm sorry, guys. I'm still dealing with this cold, and it is kicking my ass, really. I feel better in the day, and at night, I feel like shit. Surprised, though, I haven't gotten anyone else sick that I've been around, and I've been trying to be precautious. But for some strange reason, no one else is getting sick just even being around me, which surprises me, because anytime I'm around someone that's sick, I even breathe the same air they're breathing, I'm fucking screwed. So, that's why I try to stay away from anyone that's sick. I have a strong immune system, but if I'm around someone that's coughing and sneezing all over the place and I breathe that shit in, I'm probably going to be sick within the next couple of days, and that's that. So, but there are times where I don't get sick around other people. It just depends on the situation, I guess, or what, like how the germs got in my body or what have you. But this is nonsense, me talking about this. Let me just get into the review. Alright, so Jon Moxley, Marina Shafir faced Swerve Strickland and Willow Nightingale. Willow Nightingale actually picked up the W. Now, some people might say, well, that's a little concerning. If Swerve Strickland's team is picking up the W and Jon Moxley is losing, then more than likely Jon Moxley's retaining the championship. Again, like I said, at the end of the show, and all that, you kind of get the idea that Tony Khan is trying to show you that Jon Moxley's actually going to lose the title. I feel strongly about this now, based on the results of what happened at the end of the show. Hangman Page, looking like he is finally let go of the anger he has towards Swerve Strickland, and then Swerve Strickland being put through glass and still standing tall afterwards, while Moxley leaves the arena through the crowd, kind of just staring at him like, oh, shit. Or, just not like, he didn't care to get back in the ring and beat the living tar out of him. He's just going to save that for Dynasty. I think that ending right there defines everything that's going to happen. Swerve Strickland is going to become the new world champion. I didn't say it before, but I'm saying it now based on what I saw. If Khan swerves us, though, with Jon Moxley still retaining, that would be the cheesiest and shitty fucking booking I've ever seen. You're going to put this man through glass. It's his year from the first time he ever won the world title. Dynasty's basically Swerve Strickland's pay-per-view in a sense at this point. The way everything looks, to me, it looks like Swerve should win this fucking belt. Would I put money on this match? Fuck no. I would not dare put money on this match if my life depended on it. If you put a gun to my head, you'd have to pull the trigger. I would not put money on this fucking match, because this match could go in Jon Moxley's favor too. This is a 50-50 toss-up. If I was to make the odds, I'd say it's 110 and minus 110 and minus 110. Neither one of these guys have a reason to lose, and neither one of these guys have a reason to win. They are evenly matched, and there ain't no way of fucking predicting this shit, because Tony Khan does not follow any type of formulas. He's predictable, but he doesn't follow formulas very well, like WWE does. He has his moments where he'll give fucking championship belts to guys that shouldn't even be the fucking champions. Take Daniel Garcia of all people. I mean, this fucking guy hasn't done shit with the fucking title. I'd take Adam Cole to win, but who the hell knows with Tony Khan? Tony Khan's a fucking whack job. He doesn't know how to book shit. Just in my personal opinion, and what I've seen in the last couple of years. I used to love Tony Khan's product, and as of late, in the last year and a half, it has been garbage. So Swerve and Willow celebrate until Mox enters the ring, catching Nightingale with a paradigm shift to the mat. Swerve runs him out of the ring, but not before Marina can be brought out alongside as the pair escape through the crowd. Medics come to check on Willow as we take a commercial break, and the match between Dax Hardwood and Wheeler Yuta. They take a look back at the collision and a match between Dax Hardwood and Wheeler Yuta. Things took a strange turn between FTR, and we addressed this by heading backstage earlier today as FTR has Paul Turner here. Dax apologizes for his actions and pays $10,000 directly to Turner, but Cash seems none too pleased as the topic shifts to their own issues. Dax talks about their road together and how one incident can't eclipse that. He apologizes to Cash for putting his hands on him at Collision, promising a win for the trio. But Wheeler refuses a hug from Hardwood, saying they'll be fine at Dynasty, but after, they need to talk. He walks off as Dax apologizes to Renee, and a graphic from Storm and Ford takes us to the break. I really don't like this direction they're going with FTR. Why are we fucking breaking FTR up? There is no way in hell either one of these two are going to get by as singles competitors. They are tag team specialists. They are good at what they do. Tag team wrestling. Let's keep them where they fit. You want to make tag team wrestling a main event match at a pay-per-view to give them their moment in the sun as main eventers, fine. As long as you got a story with it. Otherwise, who the fuck cares? I don't want to see FTR broken up. If you want to turn them heels on Adam Copeland, that's one thing. But to break them up, I don't like the idea. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. We got to look back at what happened moments ago in the mixed tag team match before taking our first look at the men's Owen Hart tournament brackets, revealing that Kevin Knight is replacing Jay White, and this year he'll be Hangman Page's. He'll be it'll be Hangman Page facing the wild card in a reversal of roles from last year. We get a look at Kevin Knight's match on Collision before heading to the women's tournament bracket, all the while getting an idea of matches being set up tonight and at Collision as a preview of the tournament that will accumulate in the finals at Double or Nothing. I think the tournament's absolute shit. It's obvious it's going to be Hangman Page versus Will Ospreay at the end of all this. There's nothing else involved. Like, who gives a shit? Back at ringside, Timeless Toni Storm makes her way out to a big pop from the crowd. And she has a match with Penelope Ford. Toni Storm obviously wins the match. I wouldn't have made her lose at all, which they did not, thankfully. Storm celebrates in the ring as Megan Bayne comes out to confront the champ ahead of their match at Dynasty. Obviously, Megan Bayne is just being used for a test run to see how she will fare in a major match program with the world champion. And they'll probably revisit this sometime later on next year. Give her some kind of boost. Maybe she earns the respect of Toni Storm. They shake hands at the end of the match. She turns to a babyface type character. And she could be the one that takes the title off of Mercedes Moné if they don't go with Athena to do so. That might be the possibility. Or it's just one and done, we see how she does, and then we revisit this at another time later on next year or something after she's padding some wins and got some important storylines on the show. God knows the only important storylines are the matches over the fucking championships in the women's division. Anything outside of that, rivalries, any of that, is not even a focal point of Tony Khan's creativity, which I don't understand why. But hey, it's his show. Let him do whatever the fuck he wants with it. If he wants to put it into the fucking ground, that's up to him. That's his business, not mine. I don't run it. It's not my money. I do have a right to voice my opinion when I see fucked up things happening, but otherwise, at the end of the day, ultimately, it all comes down to what Tony Khan's decision is. That's why when you guys get crazy over this shit, and I'm guilty of this as well, to sit here and get all riled up and crazy over this, what is the fucking point? Unless you want to be entertaining and have fun with it and just blow your top off of it just for the sake of being entertaining to your audience, which I will admit a lot of times I will go ahead and do. Other times my intelligence I'll feel insulted and I'll blow up anyway, legitimately, and voice my opinion on that, even though there's not much I can do about it because I'm not the guy who's running the fucking show. But if you want to go ahead and rant and rave and you're doing it for entertainment appeal for your channel, okay, I can get that. I can get behind that. I do that at times. You'll see on my videos, I'll go ahead and I'll rant and I'll rave and get pissed off. Sometimes it's legitimate. Other times it's just overinflated, being angry just to be entertaining, which there's no harm in that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But still, at the same time, even if I'm overinflating my anger towards it, I'm still, insulted by it. I still feel they could do better and so forth. So it's still legitimate dislike towards what they're doing. But it's not like me legitimately having my day fucking ruined by some creative decision they go about doing on their fucking show. I mean, come on. You got to be a little bit intelligent than that. Just sit there and let your whole day be ruined over some crappy wrestling product. I mean, you got other things in life that you could do. You could focus on sports. You could go out and get exercise. You could go make new friends, if there's even a possible way of doing that nowadays, the way this world's so fucked up. That's why I'm a loner and I don't really deal with a lot of people outside of my wife. But, I mean, there's so many other things you could do with your life. You could find interest in video games and all kinds of other crap. You don't need to let wrestling be something that makes you go ape shit unless you're trying to be entertaining on your channel. And that's the only reason why I do it outside of, like I just said. If sometimes there's a huge amount of insult to my intelligence, yes, I'm going to fucking rant and rave about it. and I will get pissed off. But other than that, I mean, that's just pretty much my focal point on that whole situation. So we head backstage where Strickland gives an update on Willow, saying she's strong before addressing Mox after what he did. He promises that by the end of the night, he will have his hands on Jon Moxley. From there, we get a graphic for upcoming matches before going to a commercial break. Great. We get a look at the week heading into All In Texas before heading to ringside where MVP and Bobby Lashley come out to a pop from the Pereira crowd. Commentary talks about Shelton being unable to arrive due to flight and weather issues as the other two-thirds of the Hurt Syndicate enter the ring. But before they can speak, MJF's music hits as he walks down the ramp. He teases signing a fan's sign, but throws the marker away instead before entering the ring, demanding they cut to his music. From the crowd as Friedman compliments the suit of MVP, he talks about Bob disrespecting him, but he'll let it slide because he doesn't know him like MVP knows him. MJF formally introduces himself before giving kudos to Benjamin and Lashley, but says Bobby is standing on the block he made. MJF says he can help the tag team champions hold on to the titles as long as they please, and he knows they can help him regain what belongs to him, the AEW World title. What he's saying is it's just good business. He tells Bobby that they may not want MJF, but they need him, which gets Lashley flustered, as he tells Friedman that out of respect for MVP, he is not going to lay the former champ out right now. Bobby says he doesn't like MJF, and the Hurt Syndicate sure don't need him. MJF takes the hint, leaving the ring as the Syndicate get ready to leave the ring before the Learning Tree's music hits, allowing the students of Chris Jericho a chance to stare down Lashley and MVP before heading to the ring for our next match. Their opponents are already in the ring, and this match gets underway. It's a local talent going up against the Learning Tree. Oh, wow. So Keith Mitchell and Big Bill, they end up going ahead and winning the match, obviously. After the match, Big Bill gets a microphone to address beating Top Flight on Collision and beating these guys tonight. Not like that was hard work. Saying he and Keith want their match at Dynasty for the AEW Tag Team titles. MJF starts to respond, but Lashley cuts him off, and the pair leave to the back by giving a response. Backstage, we hear from Mercedes Moné, the Money Train, the grubby, selfish bitch who once at one point in time gave a shit about the talent on the roster, and now she only cares about herself, talking about getting revenge. That's what she basically is doing in AEW. Stripping the company dry of all of its money and assets for her, just so they can have her fucking talent on their television screen, while no one else can get ahead. Congratulations. So backstage we hear from Mercedes Moné about the women's Owen Hart tournament, which will see the current TBS champion face a former champ in Julia Hart at Dynasty in the opening round. Wait, Mercedes Moné is facing Julia Hart in the opening round of Dynasty for the fucking Owen Hart Cup? What kind of fucking bullshit is this? Topic changes to the tag team match on Collision before Harley Cameron and the Mercedes puppet appear to pop from the crowd. to a pop from the crowd as Harley tries to run a team named by the CEO to no avail. Mercedes leaves as we cut away. We also get a cheesy fucking Harley Cameron trying to come up with another fucking name for their tag team. She looks absolutely ridiculous. And to be honest, she might be entertaining with her comedic act, but outside of that, she really has nothing going on for her. Back at ringside, Will Ospreay enters to a big pop from the crowd. Out next is Kevin Knight. Again, Kevin Knight is being shown, not Kevin Knight, Blake Christian and Lee Johnson. Blake Christian, again, is competing against Will Ospreay, competing against Kenny Omega last week, now is being utilized for Will Ospreay. This time around, Will Ospreay and Kevin Knight pick up the victory, get the W, and after the match is over, it is announced that at Dynasty, the opening round, the first round, will be Will Ospreay and Kevin Knight, replacing Jay White. Why are we replacing Jay White? With no fucking explanation as to why he was out. They're claiming he was attacked by the Death Riders. And I never saw or heard anything about this. At all. So who gives a shit? The pair celebrate before... Hold on. I lost my spot. Shit. The pair celebrate before Tony Schiavone reveals to them that they will not only be facing off in the opening round of the men's Owen Hart tournament, but the match will take place this Sunday at Dynasty. So, thanks for coming, Kevin Knight. Enjoy the spotlight for 15 minutes of fame and get back in the line. The end of the line. And enjoy your time with Will Ospreay sharing the ring with you. Because that's all you're going to get. Backstage, we hear from the Ops as Samoa Joe reveals what led to the group forming, and they will be keeping an eye on things at Dynasty. What that eye is open to, who the fuck knows? Maybe the Trios Tag Team titles, who the fuck knows? And honestly, who the fuck cares? We head back to ringside for our next match as Brody King and Lance Archer enter before we get the match underway. So Brody King, Lance Archer, fair match, nothing special. Brody King ends up getting the W. I mean, Lance Archer just loses to everybody. He's just a fucking monster of a dude who's basically a jobber for everyone to beat up on, even though his catchphrase is everyone dies. I don't get it. We get graphics running down the card for Dynasty, as well as Cope taking on Claudio Castagnoli, which is the match coming up next. Copeland and Castagnoli, or Claudio Castagnoli, was a decent match. I didn't have any major issues with the match itself. Copeland ends up winning the match, landing a spear and getting the W. And Copeland celebrates with the win as commentary hypes up the Dynasty pay-per-view. We then head backstage for another update on Willow, but Swerve is focused on finding Moxley. I already discussed all this. He bumps into Hangman Page, takes ownership for what he did to Hangman Page. He felt he deserved what Hangman Page did to him finally, and owns up to the fact that he deserved it. And he understands now where he was coming from, and he was sorry, basically. Hangman Page, astonished by him taking responsibility of his actions, he basically kind of just said, alright, walked away, and that was it. So I think Swerve Strickland has no worries at all of Hangman Page getting involved in the match, and Hangman Page will not look like an asshole or look like a hypocrite for going ahead and going back on his word when, at the end of the day, Swerve Strickland owned up for his terrible acts that he did to Hangman to make him want to do such a tragic thing to Swerve Strickland in return for his terrible act. So, Hangman is relieved of all of his duties of keeping Swerve Strickland from ever winning a AEW World Championship at this point, and that is that. So we leave it at that point where Hangman is just focused on trying to win the Owen Hart tournament, which I believe he should win, and face Swerve Strickland if that's the direction they want to go. If Swerve Strickland wins, it needs to be Hangman Page, not Will Ospreay. We need to see Hangman Page do something that MJF says nobody's going to ever see him do again, and that's become a world champion for the second time. Like as if he was a one-hit wonder. If Jon Moxley, though, wins and they, swerve us to the idea that, we are supposed to believe that Swerve has a shot now with this go-home show episode, then it's going to be Will Ospreay winning the tournament and also winning the World Heavyweight Championship at All In. Those are the two directions. I like the Swerve Strickland idea going to All In to face Hangman Page and Hangman getting a big W at All In. That's what I think should happen. But that's just my viewpoint. Everything else I explained in this main event, so I'm not going to go reiterating everything else. If you didn't, you would have heard everything that occurred because I'm not live here. I'm doing these by video. So you heard in the beginning, you know what happened in the end. So we don't have to worry about all that nonsense and reiterate everything. So at this time, guys, you know what to do. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. And leave a comment down below. I'll definitely get back to you on that. I thank you guys very much for watching. And have a great night, guys.